Welcome to the Sam and Joe VA Show, where we teach women just like you how to create your very own in-demand virtual assistant business.
We're your hosts, Sam and Joe, and get ready to have the control, flexibility, and freedom you've always dreamed of.
Welcome to episode 17. Book more clients with an email welcome sequence.
Our guest today is the super lovely Hayley Maxwell. Hayley is a website and email sequence copywriter. Welcome, Hayley. Thanks so much for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me. It's exciting to be here.
Let's start off. Tell us a bit about you and your business.
Yep. So as you just said, I'm a email marketing and email sequence copywriter. I made my first fluff already. And also a website copywriter as well. So I've always loved writing. It's always been something that, even as far back as primary school, I've been really into. So and it's just kind of what I really enjoy doing. And I like being able to kind of share the knowledge that I have built up over kind of, nearly 2 decades, which starts showing my age with other people as well. So, yeah.
Oh, it's fantastic. And you're so talented. I know I've used you myself for some copywriting tasks, which I've been absolutely over the moon with. So we thought, well, who better to have on and talk about this topic? And some of our listeners will they'll already recognize your name because you're one of our lovely summit speakers earlier on in the year for the 2020 VA Online Summit. So you're back.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. And, it seemed like it was a really awesome experience for everyone that was kind of involved and who kind of joined it and was part of it. So and listened to it. So, thank you for that opportunity too.
You're so talented. I just read some of your blog posts yesterday and earlier. And, I could have clicked through and read every one, and it just showcases how amazing your writing is. I'm really excited to have you here and for everyone who's listening to get some awesome tips from you. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Gosh, I think I'm going to leave the interview with a head that's sort of grown inside. I might not be able to get back through my office door. Thank you. It's very kind of you for that.
So let's start off with I think a lot of virtual assistants will know what an email sequence is, but for those that don't, let's start off with the basics. What is it?
So an email welcome sequence is a series of emails. So it's an automated series of emails that is sent out as soon as someone has subscribed to, your lead magnet or your newsletter or some other kind of lead generation enticement. And it flows on straight from someone receiving that. And it's really about helping to nurture people and to welcome them to your kind of email community, and also to start building that know, like, trust factor with people, essentially.
It's so important, isn't it? It's so important. Let's talk really briefly about lead magnets and the types of lead magnets that a virtual assistant could have on their website. Because, Joe, you've got one, haven't you?
We do. Yeah, we have 2 actually. One is our pricing guide. So we don't have our rates on our website. And so we get people to give us their email in exchange for the pricing guide. And then it's a way that we can actually follow up and, see if they are interested in having a conversation. The other one is a 101 things to delegate to a virtual assistant. Because often people looking for a virtual assistant, they're like, I know that I need help because I'm super busy, but I have no idea what a virtual assistant could actually do for me and what I could hand over. So those are the 2. So they receive one of those things, and then, we don't do anything else after that other than our monthly newsletter that we do. So, I'm really interested to see what is the next step for someone after that.
Yeah. And, you're saying that's actually really common. So it's not just in the VA world that happens, where you spend a huge amount of time kind of working out what to create as a lead magnet, and you send maybe just that that first email that goes, here you go, here's my thing, have it, see ya. It's really common that people, small business owners, we've already got a million things that we're doing, and then to think to ourselves, gosh, we've got to actually, put together a whole sequence of emails. It can be quite daunting. So I guess, I'm always of the view that I like to try and break things down and just make it as simple as possible. It doesn't have to be really complex for someone to put together a series of emails, but it is a really important thing for people to have in place, because when someone first signs up to your email list, that first 24 to 48 hours after they have joined is the sort of the most important time, especially because what happens is someone signs up and they immediately tend to go to their inbox to look for you. So it's kind of that moment when you as the business owner are most desirable to your new subscriber, your new email reader, so they're actively looking for you. So you've really got to try and capitalize on that opportunity to, obviously encourage them to open that first email, but then capitalize on returning to their inbox and, encouraging them to open up further emails from you, so that they get into that habit of seeing you in their inbox and opening your emails. So you can build that know, like, trust factor, but also so that you can move them that step closer to potentially becoming a booking client, a paying client. So it's about providing that value to them and showing them that you are going to provide them with interesting, valuable content in their inbox as well.
So it's really, it comes down to building relationships, doesn't it? And this is something that Jo and I talk a lot about, especially in terms of online networking and in-person networking. But I don't think we've ever really touched on building relationships via email marketing. And it is so important, isn't it? We can't just rely on one way to build relationships with potential clients.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really love that you've said that, because the whole thing, when I talk about email marketing, I am, of the view that we need to build the relationship first with people. And, a lot of people are sort of afraid of email marketing in terms of seeming like they're maybe too pushy, or they're going to get unsubscribes and things like that. But I always say to people, if you are providing really good value to people, and so that might be, through education or information, or, and even through, the offers and the services that you have as well, because remember, the people that are obviously sort of coming through to your email list, they've obviously got a problem in that area. So if you're providing really good value to people and being relationship driven, so you're focusing on that person as a real human, because behind the screen there is a person with a beating heart that goes through all sorts of similar emotions and feelings and experiences that we do. And I think it's really easy for us to sometimes forget that when we're just faced with an email address. So I think, going back to the point about being relationship focused, I think if you always come at it from that perspective with email marketing and your welcome sequence, you're not going to go wrong. So yeah, that's the way that I always try and approach it. And I think that that's the way that you can build a really thriving email community that's really engaged, and that essentially is what you actually want.
Yeah. So what type of things could be included in an email sequence, and is there like a certain length of time your email sequence should be? Is it like 6 emails, 8 emails over an 8-week period? What would you recommend?
Yeah, so I mean, I guess the first thing I would say is if you are, if you're sort of struggling with time, it's better to have some emails up than none at all. So it's better to have a bit of a sequence. And so typically I would recommend people have around 6 emails as part of a welcome sequence. But of course, if you are pushed for time, then, even if you're only getting, 3 or 4 emails in that sequence, at least you've got something there. And then once you've got those 3 or 4 in place, you can look at maybe creating a new one, each following week, and that you just add it on to the list. That would be kind of my way of saying, you can do this, here's a little bit of a staged approach for you to do it. But typically, if you're wanting to sit down and really focus on writing a welcome sequence, I would say 6 is a really nice number to have, because it allows you to allows the subscriber, so your new kind of email community member, to come through, receive your download, and then obviously get to know a little bit more about you, but always framed in the perspective of that dream client and what's in it for them. And it helps them to kind of build that trust and move along before you actually start really kind of pushing maybe more of what I call the big ask, I guess. And so what I would typically say to people is whatever lead magnet that you have, and obviously you spoke about a couple then, Joe. So what you need to do is you need to think about what your lead magnet is, and then what the end goal of your email sequence is as well, because ideally you're wanting to join the 2 of those together and help a potential client come through that and logically move towards, say, for example, booking a call with you. So you might have that, book a call with us, and it might be a bit more of a, overt push in one of those emails. But yeah, 6 emails will allow you to kind of go through that whole process quite smoothly as well, and logically, without being too kind of in your face, straight off the bat.
Yeah, and so when do you make the first? Well, when is the first time that you would actually say, "Hey, book a call with me"? Like, is that you take people through to the 6th email, and then that's when you say that?
Yeah, so I think there's a few different ways that you can do it. I mean, obviously, for example, in some lead magnets, you may well already have said, hey, book a call with us, or something like that, if you're wanting, some help and support. Some people at that stage might not be quite ready to actually move forward. They might need a little bit more reassurance kind of along the way. And that all comes down to, what stage of awareness that they're at. Obviously, they've actually signed up for a lead magnet, so they know that they've got a bit of a problem that they need to solve, overwhelm or too busy, those sorts of things. So they're already in that kind of zone, but they might not know exactly what you offer. And so it's just throughout the whole process is thinking about how can I encourage people to give us a call. So typically I would say, your first couple of emails, I don't tend to put in kind of any sort of push that's too difficult. It might be more about, say, connecting with people in other places, so that you become, they see you popping up in lots of different places, and it reminds them, oh yeah, I signed up for that particular thing, so it might be if you've got Instagram, or if you're on Facebook or LinkedIn, it's encouraging them to connect with you in those particular places, that you're always there. And then you could do things like, start adding a PS, for example, to your email, with that kind of more direct, like, give us a call, or book a call here. So typically I would do that maybe around, say, email 4. But it really depends on, you could do something maybe in email 3 if you wanted to. There is no right or wrong, and it really is sort of just testing what's going to work for you. But then I would always say, have an email probably around email 5 that then specifically focuses on really pushing the benefits of booking a call with you, or working with you. And so that becomes more like a more overt push, a more sort of a sales focused push. So as I say, there is no right or wrong. It's just really trying different things out, but working towards thinking, okay, how can I build trust, and how can I show people that I'm an expert in supporting people in their business, so that they see that I am the right choice for them. Really is the whole purpose.
Would sharing a case study, would that be something that you could do as one of those emails?
Yeah, absolutely. So sharing case studies of how you've helped people, or sort of even testimonials as well. So particularly in that email where you are really encouraging people to book a call, using testimonials that really support how someone was maybe feeling before they got in touch with you. They were umming and ahhing over whether or not to actually take action and pick up the phone, or actually book online to speak to you, to now like, oh my gosh, it's just kind of changed my life, and I wish I'd done it sooner. So having those kinds of testimonials, if you've got that, or if you can go to existing clients and you can actually ask them a series of questions that will support you to build a testimonial in that way, obviously with it being absolutely true, not wanting to make anything up, then that's something along those lines that supports what you're saying is fantastic. So and I can run through kind of an example email sequence, like what you might include in, say, 6 emails. I've obviously talked.
That would be great.
But if you want to run through a little bit of a series,
yeah, that'd be amazing.
Cool. Okay, so say email 1. So email 1 I always refer to as being the email where you're actually sending your new subscriber their download, their freebie, whatever it is they've opted in for. And so what you're wanting to do with that first email is to really sort of encourage them and inspire them and make them feel like they're really welcomed into your community. And you want to also make them feel really good about that kind of action that they've just taken. So, it is around that action of just signing up to get that freebie that might be, 101 things that, you can outsource to a VA. They've probably been sat there for quite a long time before they've got to the point of looking for a VA, thinking, should I outsource? Shouldn't I outsource? What can I outsource? Can I afford it? All these kind of things. So you want to actually sort of really celebrate the fact that they've taken that first step and really kind of motivate them and make them feel good about that. And then what you want to do in that first email is also kind of set up the scene for how often you're going to show up in their inbox over the first wee while. And I will talk about, the kind of frequency of sending once I've run through this little overview. Email 2, you're wanting to build a bit more connection with them and start showing them the expertise that you've got, so that they can start gaining that trust in you in terms of you being a really good fit for them. So you might want to do things like, share resources that you have available. So maybe your top 3 blog posts that are either really popular content, so you can look at your web stats and things to see what your most popular content is, or blog posts or podcasts, anything like that is going to support someone to think about really seriously taking that next step with you. And you might have maybe a call to action in that email around following you on social media, so that again they're connecting with you in other places, so they keep seeing you everywhere. Then email 3 would be potentially a time where you can share more about your story, but not just kind of downloading your whole story to them, because as much as we all like to talk about ourselves, people are always, of that view of, well, actually, what's in it for me? So make sure you're always thinking, how does this relate back to my reader? How does this relate to someone considering taking the next step to me? And you might want to kind of finish an email like that with something around, asking them a question about their business, what struggle they've got, or what's the number one question they might have when working with a VA, or what's holding them back from working with a VA. So those sorts of questions. Don't be surprised if you don't get a huge amount of replies straight away, but it's about opening up those lines of communication with people and showing that actually you are interested in them. And that goes back to that whole relationship-driven kind of marketing focus that we were talking about earlier. It's all about building those relationships and showing that you are, and being interested in what someone else has got to say, and the insights that they can offer to you as well. Email 4, you would potentially look at doing something like busting an objection or a myth that you say commonly hear as a VA, or it could even be, your number one frequently asked question that you get. So making that the core focus of your email, and then adding maybe, as I said earlier, kind of email 4, maybe adding that PS to this email. And really now is when you're starting to kind of ramp up that, get in touch with us, book a call. And then email 5, as I said earlier as well, is where you kind of go in for that slightly, the big ask, as I call it. So that's where you're really working on encouraging someone to take action. And so you might want to think about talking about how someone could potentially feel after they've worked with you. So you're sort of getting them to look into the future and imagine themselves and how it's going to be for them when they have work, or when they are working with you, and things are just so much easier and less stressful and all of that sort of thing. So, you'd be doing a lot of that in that email, as well as supporting that with things like, testimonials, or even, case study and so on. And then email 6 would be your last email. And I always like to do another email after kind of what I call the sales email, because I'm of the view that you don't just want to go here, do this, and then they don't hear from you again.
Yeah.
So I always like to follow up an email, like a sales focused email, with maybe some sort of quick tip or a quick win for them. And then reiterating how often they are now going to hear from you going forwards. So if you have if you send a weekly email or a monthly newsletter, or, just explain how often they're likely to hear from you, why they should basically stick around on your email list, and kind of just set the scenes for going forwards, really, essentially with that one as well, so they're not left kind of hanging, really. Yeah. So that would be kind of my that would be a high level overview of kind of six emails that you can send.
That's gold. That's amazing. And feeling, as you were talking, I was like, oh, I need to do this, and I need to do this, and put this in there. Yeah, that's amazing, Hayley.
I think where people get stuck is that it's like, well, what the heck do I write? What kind of order am I going to put it into? How many emails am I going to write? But when you kind of start breaking it down, it's not actually no, and I say this, but it's not too difficult. When you approach it from a perspective of how am I taking someone from A over to B? What are the stages I need to take them through? But if you're kind of just initially starting out, it can be, the thought of doing something like this can be completely overwhelming. So it's good to be able to help people kind of look at it logically in a kind of a structured flow. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm one of those people. I have a lead magnet. I've got a couple of different lead magnets over the show, and I don't have any type of nurturing email sequence whatsoever. And a lot of it is, every time I'd sit down and think about it, because I know, I've known for years I've needed to do something.
Yeah.
It's felt really overwhelming. Where do I start? Oh my goodness. But you have literally just given us the bluept of exactly what it is I need to do. 6 emails. That's it.
Doing myself out of sales.
No, I think the now I know that there's lots of listeners who are thinking, okay, great, I know what to do, but I'm terrible at writing, or I can't put words together. So what do you have? Because I know that you've got something that can help people and take them through this process. But then also you have a service where you can actually write these for people, don't you?
Yeah. So I have... So I've got kind of 2 different offerings, I guess. So the one is I have a Nail Your Nurture sequence course, and essentially it is it makes it nice and easy for people, really. It's basically, I have pre-written a 6 email sequence for people, and essentially you can, and it includes sort of subject lines, different variations for those, as well as I say, the template for each email, and sort of a workbook for working through kind of all your various ideas for each email prior to actually writing. But then you can basically kind of pick up the templates and tweak them to suit your business. So it's specifically for service providers. So it works well for VAs or coaches or other online experts. And so, you can tweak it to suit your own business. And I do encourage people to make it their own and don't always kind of rely on maybe the language and the words that I've used, because it's really important to make sure that your own personality shines through as well. But, it's there to help people who are really in that, this is something I've been meaning to do for ages. I just need to get this done because it is really important, but it keeps sinking down to the bottom of my to-do list.
Yeah.
So that's there for those kind of people that want to do it themselves. And then obviously, I do write email sequences as well for service-based businesses. And those tend to be much more tailored, and will be, the number of emails are really based on the goals that a particular business has. So, and that's all about making sure it's written in their voice and language that's going to resonate with their ideal clients as well. So those are the 2 kind of main services I offer in this particular area. Yeah.
Fantastic. So we'll have the links down in the show notes for both of those. So anyone who's listening that wants to get the structure and be able to do it yourself, you have that course there. And for those who just want to hand everything over, the amazing Hayley, who writes incredibly, and have it done for you, then absolutely check out that link below. Because I think like Sam, you said it before, where it's finding clients is all about building relationships. Like that's what it's about. Number 1, building relationships. And I think, yes, we've focused a lot on that in person and how you do that online and, in the chat and the messages. However, this is now, in addition to that, this is now so key to actually build that relationship with your email list and build that email list. I love this. And I think one of my key takeaways here too, and we see this a lot with when people are trying to write their web content or pitch emails, cold emails to people, is that they tend to naturally write about themselves and how great they are and the person should hire them. It's all about them. Whereas actually what you said before, Hayley, is you need to make it all about the person who is reading it, who you're trying to build the relationship and the potential client. You have to make it about them, not about you. And that's actually quite difficult to switch what we're so naturally inclined to write about ourselves, you got to try and switch that up. So yeah, I think this is amazing. I'm now wondering where I can do this across all of the businesses that we have too, Sam. So yeah, thanks so much.
Yeah.
Hayley.
I think what you were saying there, it's, the thing is, I always think that social media is seen as, the sexy kind of way to build relationships, but actually it comes back to old saying that you're kind of building those relationships on someone else's land. And so, it's really important to, if you can, to bring people into your own sort of, I call it my email community. I don't like calling it my email list, but so to bring people into your kind of own space and to build relationships with people there, because there's a reason why, some of these, we hear kind of all the bigger online, gurus and celebrities kind of talking about the fact that, they're building their email list. And there's a reason why they do that. And that's because for them, email marketing is their primary revenue generator. So, they're obviously using social media to draw people in. And, I'm sure they will make sales through social media as well. But they are really using that email as part of their strategy to get those sales. And so the welcome sequence is the first part of that. It's supporting people to know you and build that trust so that they continue to to continue to open your emails and continue to click through to read things that you're sending them. So all the way, it's about getting them to take these little, what I call like micro conversions, and it might just be to do small little things like follow you in different places or read a blog post. But it's about building if you think of it from building a community, it's going to be far more engaging for people in terms of the content that you're providing them with as well. So I think we always need to think, actually, it's better for us to own something rather than trying to always do it on that's someone else's land. I know that sounds a bit cliche because it's thrown around all the time, but I'm of the view that email marketing is sexy too.
It's not cliche. I actually don't think we can say it enough. I think people get caught up in the social media hype, and it's where you see everyone else showing up every day. And so you think you need to do it too. And absolutely, it's all part of an overriding marketing strategy, isn't it? But you can't put all your eggs in one basket just relying solely on social media. We've seen it happen. We've seen virtual assistants and virtual assistants clients, their Facebook pages gone in an instant. They've been locked out for weeks for some reason. So how do you then communicate with your community? Well, you need that email community, as you so nicely put it, to be able to do so. Hayley, thank you so much. This is the value that you've given us is just incredible. I'm really blown away, and I hope that a lot of the virtual assistants that are listening, well, actually, I probably know that a lot of the virtual assistants are listening. I know a lot of the virtual assistants listening were probably thinking that email marketing is really important for their clients, not realizing that it's actually equally important for you as a VA business owner as well.
Absolutely, yeah. No, it's been lots of fun sharing these tips with you. So I really hope that people find them useful. Yeah,
absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks to everyone for listening to this episode of the Sam and Joe VA Show. If you'd like to find out more, head to the Savvy School website to check out the amazing members club and find more free resources.
You can find us at savvyschool.co.nz.